Hello, so we're going to have a look at the trigonometric functions today. They are sine, cosine and tangent, or as we normally call them in short version, sine, cos and tan. Now interestingly enough, sine and cos are both sound waves if you have a look at them. So if you remember from science, sound wave goes like that, and tangent is what happens when you add two of them together. It just looks kind of like weird. It's sort of the red-headed stepbrother of the family. But the useful thing about them is they allow us to convert a set ratio into an angle, which is what we want to do. Okay, so let's have a look at sine first. Okay, way A, it is not pronounced as sin. It is actually pronounced as sine, even in its short form. Cosine there, okay, just so some pronunciation stuff, so you can do it like a Kiwi. And tan or tangent. Okay, now often when we're dealing with problems, we use some Greek letters. This is the Greek letter theta, and it's sort of an oval with a split through the middle, and you pronounce it as theta, or if you're more American, theta. Okay, so I'm sure you've seen alpha and beta around, so we just tend to use theta quite a lot. Oh my God, it's theta quite a lot. All right, and we stick it where we don't have a known angle. So if we're like, oh, I wonder what that is, that's when we use it. Okay, now there are three ratios. So the first one is sine, and it tells the ratio between the opposite and the hypotenuse. Okay, so if you have a problem where you've got a marked angle, in this case it's down the bottom, you have the opposite and the hypotenuse, you're always going to use sine. Cosine has a different relationship. Its relationship is between the adjacent down here, and notice the adjacent is next to the angle. That's what adjacent means. It means next door. So adjacent lines actually touch the angle I'm looking at and the right angle. They're kind of the huggy one of the trigonometry world. And then also the hypotenuse. And the last one is the other two sides. So we use tan when we have the two short sides. So the opposite one, where the blue arrow, and also the adjacent. Okay, let's just talk about using trig on the calculator. All individuals have different sine, cosine, and tan ratios. They're going to look like a long decimal to you. Okay, we've got it all stored. Way back in the early days, you used to be given a trig table, which if you've got grandparents around, they probably are still haunted by the trauma of those. I can show you one if you'd like to see. We used to look them up, but now we have fantastic calculators that store them all. Okay, so if you want to find a ratio, if you want to know what sine of the angle 32 is, you just simply do that on your calculator and you'll get this number. All right, you'll actually get a number longer than this. I have rounded this one to 4 significant figures. If you want to find an angle, which means doing reverse, we don't have reverse buttons, but what you do is you press the shift or the second function button and then press the button. So for an example of that is, if I know that an angle has a ratio of 0.115 and I know it's a sine relationship, then I can find the angle. So on my calculator, I press shift and the sine button, or second and the sine button, that number, press equals, and voila, you will then get 6.4 degrees out. Now, just so you know, you do not need to have that, or that. The only things you need to have is that line there and that line there. The rest of it is just in there to help you actually function. All right, so same with cosine. So shift or second cosine, chuck the number in, press equals. Again, you don't need that shift cos stuff. You don't even need the next line. You just go to 26 degrees. All right, so